And we welcome you to the Pregame show here on OSN. It is Lieber Sage alongside the one and only Tanner Ryle. He's back. He's made his journey and he has returned. How are you, Tanner?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I never stopped believing, and here I am back on the show.
Well, we're going to put you to the test today to see if you still believe after what happened in Seattle.
Right.
But we'll find out. We'll find out. I have my glorious, it looks like a Mariners hat, but it's not. It is a Markham baseball hat.
Okay.
In honor of Warren Fogle. Good Markham boy. Got on the score sheet the other night in his first game for the Ottawa Senators. So that was good. And I wore my I had a big Markham backwards hockey sweater on.
Nice.
Yeah. It said
Markham on the back, so I was able to catch most of that game as well, despite the concert. We were back in our car, I think maybe 5 minutes into the first period, so I didn't miss any goals. Listened to the first and second. I had to drive my sister back to Ottawa, and it was quite the drive. I don't know if you saw the fog that was out. So going down Greenbank, I couldn't see more than 10 feet in front of my car, but I did make it home for the third period, so I caught the third.
Was nice of you to join the post-game show then. However, the clocks were
I went to sleep.
Forward. Good on Zach McGibbon, who somehow, some way, he didn't join me, but he was listening after Acclaim Pro Wrestling on Saturday night.
Oh, that's right.
He had to go. He went back to Belleville, and he's got Trenton. He had Trenton last night, Trenton tomorrow night, and he's a busy beaver. But I actually drove home from Smith Falls, went to the Smith Falls Richmond Junior B playoff game in Smith Falls, a 4:00 start on Saturday, and just turning in off of Highway 15, which you probably don't know, but onto 9th Line. I would say it's maybe a 10K drive.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see 3 feet in front of me. Like I was going 20, and I'm usually a little bit more daring than most in that spot. I couldn't see a thing. It was like, I'm just hoping that somebody's not in front of me. Like there was no cars on the road. There was nothing. I was like, if I hit something, then it's on that.
Like a deer or something.
Yeah, well, that would have been big trouble. But if I hit like a person or a car, I wouldn't be able to see them. No. It was crazy. So a dominant performance from the Ottawa Senators in Seattle. I mean, absolutely no trouble with the Kraken. They're having a fantastic road trip. But your first reaction when you heard Jake Sanderson is going to be out week to week for the Senators after getting banged up in the second period?
My first reaction was just, oh no. And we're seeing some buzz going around. Sounds like he's probably getting a second opinion, which is never a good sign. Speculation seems to be possibly a separated shoulder, which would put him at least 2 weeks before he's coming back. But I mean, when you talk about Jake Sanderson, he's the most important player on this team, especially when they're making this push. You can talk about Brady. He's the leader. He's the heartbeat. Tim Stützle, probably the most skilled guy. But Jake Sanderson logs the most minutes. He's first power play unit, first penalty kill. If there's an empty net, he's on the ice. If the other team has an empty net, he's on the ice. He is the most important player on this team, and it's not particularly close. And yeah, of course, that scares me. I even put out today, like, we got to see two guys in particular really step up. And if we don't, it's curtains on this playoff push for sure for the Ottawa Senators. It has to be a next man up mentality. And just look at another team that sort of has gone through a similar situation, a bit less extreme. The Columbus Blue Jackets, someone Sanderson actually played quite a bit with at the Olympics. Zach Werenski missed 3 games in a row with illness coming out of the break. Do you know what the Columbus Blue Jackets record was during that stretch that Werenski was gone?
I'm going to guess it was really good.
They were 3-0 without their number one defenseman, who's probably going to win the Norris Trophy this year. So my question is it going to be that next man up? Because we've seen 2 cases of that this season. First, when Brady Tkachuk went down with that hand injury at the start of the year, in which the Senators went 11-5-4. And then the second one, which we were doing the podcast at that point, when Linus Ullmark went down and this team seemed to crumble at every seam and did not respond at all and got absolutely caved in their first couple of games. So I'm very interested to see in the response there. And speaking of Linus Ullmark, I think number one, the guy that's got to step up is him, because a lot less shots are going to be suppressed by Jake Sanderson. We've seen the defensive game that they've played the last stretch and how strong that's been, but Sanderson's the biggest part of that. He blocks a lot of shots. He strips the puck away a lot. So it's on him. And then, of course, it's on Thomas Chabot, who's going to have to turn the clock back a couple of years and step into that number one defenseman role, a role that he played a lot of minutes in, sometimes up to upwards of 28 minutes a night, like top 5 in the league in terms of time on ice, in a lot of unimportant games for this team. So I'd like to see what happens when he's doing that in an important game. And frankly, he's surrounded by a little bit more talent that can help him out.
So I couldn't agree with you more on the two guys that are going to have to be the best players if this team has any chance. It's the goalie and the other guy that plays, upwards. Like a couple nights ago, Chabot played more than Jake Sanderson just because of how the game went. He's got a look in his eye right now that it means a lot to him. One of the things that you brought up, it's hard to compare, like when Brady Tkachuk goes down or Linus Ullmark goes down. They didn't have, especially with Linus Ullmark, they didn't have anybody else to put in the net that was stopping pucks. And I don't care how well you play, when your goalies can't stop the pucks, you're not going to win. But for Brady Tkachuk, this team actually played better. And that is the one thing for me that I'm going to be looking at, because you mentioned it. When you go through, it's not just the ice time. It's on the power play. It's on the penalty kill. It's blocking shots. It's making sure that you're not even playing in your own end because you're out of your own end. There are so many things that Jake Sanderson does that we'll see if they're going to be able to make that happen from a collective group, because Chabot has to be better, but he's never going to be Jake Sanderson. So what can happen in this spot? Well, obviously Matt and Paolo is going to come in, and who are you going to see elevated minutes from? That's the question I have, because you have Chabot and Zub that are going to play a ton. And after that, it's Clevin, it's Jensen, it's Matt and Paolo, it's Spence.
Yeah, Spence will get that PP2 spot to himself. So that's one spot. He's got to step up a little bit.
I got distracted. No word of Elijah Fox just ran by.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, oh, that's a Fox. Yep. Okay. And we're back. So, but Spence will get the power play time, but he's not going to get.
No.
Do you think it's Clevin, Jensen that are, those guys are going to play 20 minutes a night? They're going to have to. I guess they're going to have to.
Clevin especially. And I mean, thank God that he didn't get a suspension coming out of that Seattle game, or this team would be in a really awkward predicament if Chabot was their only left shot guy up.
That wasn't a suspendable.
I agree. I did see some other people, like Elliot Friedman was a little bit surprised. Maybe if Clevin had some history there, but if I'm not wrong, I think this is maybe his first or second time ever hearing from player safety. But yeah, I digress there. Definitely a good thing that nothing happened from that. But just want to go back to Chabot. I think he's actually had a really nice year and doesn't always get the flowers for it. And it's probably because he's playing a little bit less and because he's behind a Jake Sanderson. His time on ice this season has actually been the least since basically his rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging only 22.01 per night, but points wise, he's sitting at 27 in 47 games.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I would say that his ice time probably even has increased in the last month as the games have gotten more important.
Mm-hmm.
Both Sanderson and Chabot to me have played more. But back to something that you said. Well, look, when he was out of the lineup, he played one game in a month's time, and this team wasn't very good during that time.
No.
So you can give him, some flowers for that, but there's a real big difference from being on the number one power play and the number one penalty kill, like Jake Sanderson has been, and to be thrust into the top guys. That's the worry. Is like now you're taking after top guys, and that's where I never like. He's a perfect 3. He probably makes too much money, but he's a perfect 3 when he can play behind Sanderson if he's got a decent partner. And his problem is he really hasn't had a decent partner in a while. They've looked for that number 4 guy to play with him for a long time, but now it's his defense score. Like it literally is his defense score. But I wonder, back to the Brady Tkachuk thing, this is what I'm going to be looking for. Now tonight, you should be able to get by, right? Like it's the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
They're minus like 100 goal differential. And that's an exaggeration, but they're minus 70 something. They're the worst in the league.
It's not close, yeah. And they've lost. This is after the deadline. Connor Garland's gone.
Yeah.
That's another guy out. Demko's not playing. He's pretty much been shut down for the season. I mean, if you put Claude Giroux on this team, he'd be leading them in points right now.
That's insane. Like they're minus 71 goals against, and only St. Louis is even within 25 of them.
Yeah. Elias Pettersson leads them in points right now with 38. Tim Stützle scored 30 goals this year.
So they're not going to be, I don't think, in big trouble tonight. But where I'd like to see this team go is exactly where they went when Brady Tkachuk was out of the lineup. Guys were starting to come back as a 5-man unit. Now, obviously, they've been really good over the last month in suppressing shots and doing the right things. But I do think sometimes they get out of it because they just have Jake Sanderson back there. And now that they don't, I'd really like to see them almost buckle down even more in their own end, knowing that, they're getting some goals. They obviously got a lot against Seattle, but this team is controlling hockey games. How do you do that without your best player? You're going to have to, because they got lucky yesterday. Boston with a 3-0 lead, only got a point. But then, Pittsburgh got 2. Columbus got another one. They got a late goal to tie it, and they lost in overtime against LA, which I still am trying to figure out why a team played a 4:00 afternoon game on a Monday with no holiday. But I digress. Probably because it's Columbus and no one was going to go anyway. But they're still 5 points back of the Boston Bruins. And they still are going to have to deal with one of the Columbus Blue Jackets or the New York Islanders or the Penguins. And again, 3-point game this afternoon. Or sorry, the other day when Pittsburgh and Boston played. Like you just can't get away from them at this point. It's insane. So it's not only like, do I think they're good enough without Jake Sanderson to be able to catch Boston? The way that they're playing right now, yes, they're going to have one of those teams in Boston and Montreal to slow down. But yes, I do think so. But can they keep it up once they get there? I'm telling you right now, this Jake Sanderson thing is going to go one of two ways. If they're still in it in a couple of weeks, he probably tries to come back if it is like a partial separation. But I'm telling you, it's a dangerous thing. He will be... He'll be one tweak, one hit away from being out for a long time. And boy, it's tricky. So I don't think you're going to see Jake Sanderson back this year unless they are in the last week of the season. They're still hanging around, within 2 points or in the playoffs or tied or whatever. 2 points would be my barometer to anywhere from 2 points out to in. Maybe you see Jake Sanderson back, but I mean, shoulders are so funny. I mean,
Josh, like Yeah, I was going to say this team knows a
Josh
whole lot about
Norris
shoulder. Shane Pinto a couple years ago as well.
Yeah, they just don't heal. And I'm not speaking about this from an athlete's perspective, but I've separated and dislocated both of my shoulders. It will be the thing. I was going to say when I get old, but maybe I'm already old. It will be the thing that is my biggest downfall. And it's already, like, doctors have told me that I need a new ball and socket. How about this story? I know that this is not what Jake Sanderson has, but just to give you a bit of an indication in 2026 where we're at. I was told that need a new ball and socket for my shoulder. And I'm like, okay, but you can't get it yet. I'm like, why? Like, if I need it, then he's like, first of all, it's a year rehab, which is crazy because we don't really know exactly. They know how to do it, but it's like to get it back to where it is. And ball and sockets last 10 to 15 years, and that's it. And he said, when you get the second one, you're going to want to do some really bad things to people. Like it's just almost not an option. So you have to deal with it now because you're only going to ever have that once, because it's the part of the body that people just doctors don't have this great like thing for. And so to be able to know exactly what's going on with Jake Sanderson, I don't think people are going to know, but it just doesn't rehab properly unless you give it like a lot of time. He's not going to be 100% healthy until next year at this point. I'm telling you right now. I know people are saying week to week, but they're saying week to week in a spot where they only have weeks left.
Right.
Like, that's, people hear week to week and they're like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, well, how many weeks are left in the season? 4. Like, right? The last regular season games, April
15th against
15th.
Toronto.
Okay, so there's 5 weeks left. But like when you're week to week, there's only 5 weeks left of the year. I'm telling you right now, it's just not going to be something that he's going to come back from and be 100%. And there is a major risk of him re-injuring that shoulder. How many times did we see Josh Norris just take a face off?
Yeah, too many to count.
Right.
He's still dealing with it now.
To the point that you feel bad for the people. They do almost nothing to it, and it's gone. So I guess I'm saying it with this type of urgency because it's the worst case scenario for the Ottawa Senators that their best player gets an injury like this. Because if he comes back and re-injures it, you are risking long-term health for your best player.
Mm-hmm.
And is that worth it with a few weeks to go?
Yeah.
I can
it's the first time he's ever dealt with anything like this too.
Yeah.
He's
I can tell you it's not worth it unless they get like super close and they really could use a boost. But right now, you're not going to see him in the next couple of weeks. So
no, for sure. I was going to say even like the last stretch there is going to be really hard for this team as well. Some of the opponents that they've got lined up. Like you look at their next couple of games, it's going to suck to not have Jake Sanderson, but you're playing the San Jose Sharks, you're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, the New York Rangers, some other teams in similar spots. You got the Capitals, the Islanders, the Red Wings, but the 28th, you got the Tampa Bay Lightning right there. The 31st, Florida Panthers, they could probably be written off at this point. Sounds like Brad Marchand's going to be out, a couple of their other big guys. But after that, you've got the Buffalo Sabres, the Minnesota Wild, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then you're back to some of the bottom feeders. But that's a nasty 4 or 5 games there. I mean, you look at
that's
Buffalo. I'd say Buffalo, Minnesota, Carolina, Tampa. There's maybe 2 other teams that I'd have at better cup odds than those guys, and that's Colorado and Dallas.
But even before that, Tanner, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Tampa, before the Florida game, like this is a really difficult schedule. So the next 7 or 8 games when you're playing, as you said, they got the Canucks tonight. Anaheim, San Jose after they have Montreal, Toronto, the Rangers. Like they got to win like all of these games, like all of them, because you get to that schedule and you're just not going to be able, I don't think, to maintain. And again, you're trying to catch a team that's won 12 straight at home in the Boston Bruins.
Nobody's slowing down. Columbus again, another point today.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like those teams just aren't slowing down whatsoever. And I still think the Montreal Canadiens got dumbass lucky the other day. They were nowhere near the LA Kings in that game. Watch that game. I knew they like back to back. It was an early start, like in California. It's a 4:00 start after a late one in Anaheim the night before. They got outshot 16-1 in the first period with about three minutes to go. The Kings scored a second goal that probably should have counted. It didn't. And Montreal just kind of hung around and they stole 2 points in that game. But I still think the Canadiens are the team that you're going to be able to pull back here. That's the team I'm looking at to go. I just don't like Boston's played too well for too long. Montreal's got some holes. I know they're a good team, but like at least you play them again on Wednesday.
There's one other team I'm looking at a little bit.
You're going to say the frauds, aren't you?
Well, John Gibson is dealing with something right now, and they just lost Dylan Larkin as well.
Yeah.
So that's two pretty big pieces for them. And in their last 10, they're only 4-4-2. When you compare that to some of the other trends in the Atlantic and in the East, I think it's not unreasonable to say if they can knock Detroit off in a couple of games from now and they have some similar luck, maybe you're looking at pulling them back.
Yeah, they have one more game against the Wings on March the 24th. And you're not wrong. I look at the Wings schedule and, you know, tomorrow night they're in Florida, which, but then they got Tampa, Dallas. Then they're home to Calgary, Montreal, Boston, Ottawa. And for them, they're just going to have to focus in on that 3-game stretch where they have Montreal, Boston, Ottawa back to back to back. If Detroit can win a couple of those games, they're going to be fine. Ottawa is fortunate where they get them at the end of that.
Yeah.
So, look, I think it's possible for Ottawa to get there. But when you have an injury to your best player at this time that chews up so much of what you're going to do, and the next 2 weeks are probably, every game is important when you're 5 points out of a playoff spot in the middle of March. But we just went over the schedule because when it comes to at the end of March into early April, it is a very difficult schedule. And if you don't have Jake Sanderson back at that point, how difficult is it, right? So it's one of those things that they need right now to be confident in the way that their team plays and then not come down to the level of competition. I worry about the back-to-backs. I know we're not there yet and we'll have time to discuss them, but I was kind of making fun of it the other day. After the Montreal game, they have back-to-back-to-back-to-backs. And you're like,
they do.
Yeah. And Tanner's like, well, what does that mean? But they play Saturday, Sunday, and then they have a couple days off, and then they play Wednesday, Thursday with travel. They have.
If you really want to get into it, then they play Saturday, off a day, back-to-back Monday, Tuesday.
Exactly. Right? So you start getting into the James Reimer's going to play.
He's playing tonight.
Yeah, I know, but I think I could play tonight and they still probably win. But I'm not worried about tonight's game. The team is playing too well in front of, and they're going to rally around the Sanderson thing tonight. It's coming back and playing better teams in those back-to-back situations where, okay, Saturday, Sunday. Are you starting Reimer against San Jose and Macklin Celebrini on Sunday afternoon? I don't know. Like, Are you starting Reimer maybe in Washington on the Wednesday because you got the Islanders on Thursday and they need every point and you just can't afford to lose that game? Reimer probably goes in at Madison Square Garden again against the Rangers. And so I just see a lot of James Reimer's name coming up in the next 2 weeks. And that Jake Sanderson and James Reimer in the net, that's not a great combination for this team to continue to win. I do want to get your thought quickly. I don't know if you saw the extended highlights or that 8-7 Buffalo Tampa game.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It was going so crazy in the group chat that I had to get in and watch it because everyone was talking about it. And I'm really glad I did because it was Tanner, I don't know if I've ever seen, I didn't watch the whole game. I watched from about middle of the second period on. I don't know if I've seen a game that would have every single possible thing you wanted to see in a hockey game in the regular season.
Yeah, I didn't catch it live. I did see the highlights as it was happening, popping up all over my feed. And then I caught the condensed game today. And yeah, like, oh my God. Might be one of the best regular season hockey games ever. Definitely this season. Right. But just every shot's going in and the fights. I mean, Brandon Hagel was out for blood. Like, oh my God. He got fined today. Probably should have. A few punches to the back of a few heads, but
But that's
what a game.
You don't want to say it's old time hockey, but it is Tampa trying to defend their position against the young up and coming Buffalo Sabres who are tied with them in points at the top of the division. And you're trying to not let them past you. And they're doing everything, even something as simple. When it was 1-0, did you see how many guys were like in the penalty box and they kept going back and forth with the crowd and showing the Buffalo and everyone go, yeah, it was wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. It was the bad guy, then the good guy, then the bad guy, then the good guy. And the crowd going, yay, boo, yay, boo. Like it had everything you would want in a game. And it's hard not to feel good for the Buffalo.
I was going to say, there's nobody I feel better for than those fans because they've been waiting for this. I think if you tell any Buffalo fan, like last year, 5 years ago, or even at this earlier in the season when they were well out of it, looked like it was going to be year number 15 in a row, Kevin Adams gets fired. If you go up to any Buffalo fan on the street and say, hey, you guys are going to be leading the division and you're going to have the best regular season game where you're going to beat Tampa Bay to take the division lead, like they'd probably crap themselves. Like it'd be crazy. And other than that, like feel great for Rasmus Dahlin. I don't know if you saw his post game where he's just like, finally, it felt a bit like Brady last year. It's just, yeah, I've been working my ass off for all these years and it's about time. It's really sucked. And here we go. Also feel great for Josh Norris too, because he missed out on the playoff run here last year. So it's nice for him to finally get that.
Did you see him on one of the early goals to absolutely run the guy over? Before,
oh my God, yeah, that was crazy.
Trucked him. The guy was coming to hit him in the as Norris was kind of crossing the offensive blue line, and it was like, yeah, you're not going through me tonight.
Norris. I wasn't this game. Did she his goal the other night?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wasn't even looking at the net.
It's incredible. Like he's always been a great player. It's just the health and you really hope that he can stay healthy through all of this. Mm-hmm. I know it's a team in the division, but you just can't, like if you're a Sens fan, first of all, they're way ahead of you, so you're not catching them. No. And unless you play them in the playoffs, how do you not cheer for them?
Yeah, if anybody can relate to what they're going through, it's Sens fans and Wings fans, because this is where they've been for the better part of a decade as well.
I do notice on the out-of-town scoreboard, not great for the Philadelphia Flyers, who absolutely kind of have to win. They have 69 points, so they are 7 back of the Boston Bruins with the same amount of games, with a game in hand on the Bruins. And they are getting trucked by the Rangers at home, 5-1.
Yeah, it's not a 6-1.
Oh, it's 6-1 now. Of course.
It's 6-1 now. Yeah.
Yeah. Not ideal.
No, definitely not.
Not an ideal night. But sometimes you have off nights, and that's so. Are you scared before we go into the game? Are you scared that tonight's an off night for the Ottawa Senators? No Jake Sanderson, James Reimer, and net. Like Vancouver, last game of a road trip. Not a easy team to get up for because they're so bad. Is this one of those games tonight?
It could be. I mean, it's got trap game written all over it. You think those guys are probably ready to get back home and are looking ahead to the Montreal Canadiens a little bit, and just with everything that's gone on. But I think it's got to be Thomas Chabot that's going to be like, hey, guys, we're doing this for Sanderson. I'm playing in his spot. We got to be on tonight. I think he is a big leader in that locker room. So the way he spoke to the media today, I think they are pretty focused on this game. And, I mean, with the hockey they've been playing down the stretch here, I'm inclined to believe him.
I am too. I just, there's that fear of James Reimer letting in a bad goal. This team, one of the things that they've done is not score the first goal. They've given up the first goal in a lot of games, and it has not fazed them a bit. And that is a fantastic sign. So it's not like they can't come back from it. It's more, it's James Reimer. And even if you play well and a couple bad goals go in, man, it's just something that could even out this game. I don't really fear here tonight for the Ottawa Senators. They need the points. They understand they don't have Sanderson, so they're going to play as well as they can. I think the way more difficult game is the Montreal game.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, because the Montreal Canadiens, much faster than the Vancouver Canucks. They love possession. And when you're coming home from this trip, yes, Montreal plays on Tuesday. They play tomorrow night. But they're not going to be all that phased by that game. They're at home to the Leafs. And what I mean phased by it is, they'll play and they'll travel, and by the time they even slow their bodies down, they're in Ottawa already. So
yeah, and I mean, that's a team that, I don't know, for a while it really felt like Ottawa had their number as they were coming out of that rebuild. But feels like for the last season and a half, it's kind of flipped a little bit, and Montreal's been able to come away with quite a few wins, some of them being comebacks as well. It's kind of what they do, their specialty. But yeah, like you said, they love possession with Caulfield and Hudson and those type of players, and you're not going to have your number one defenseman to try and shut that down. And I mean, Jake Sanderson's best game of the year was probably that last game against Montreal.
Yeah.
If I recall, he had a couple of goals in that one. So that's a big piece to lose.
With the travel coming home, they get on a red eye tonight after the game, but they are not, like, they will be fighting traffic tomorrow morning in Ottawa just to get home.
Yeah.
Right? Not sleeping very well, like, at all. And fighting traffic and getting home, and then to be up and ready for the Montreal Canadiens on Wednesday without Sanderson feels like it's a tougher game. But you got to get through tonight, and if you can, then you're only 3 points back of a spot, and you can't do anything about what the other teams are doing. You do get to sit back and watch, and hopefully the LA Kings beat Boston tomorrow night. And can't believe Ottawa fans be cheering for the Leafs, but they will be tomorrow night against the Canadiens. So, but like, everyone's in action tomorrow night, which is interesting. Like, Boston's at home to LA. Montreal's at home to Toronto. Columbus is in Tampa. The Red Wings are in Florida to take on the Panthers. Like, everyone around you. The Islanders are in St. Louis. Every single team, Pittsburgh and Carolina. Every team is in action except for you tomorrow night. I don't want to say it's a must win tonight, but you lose tonight and you're still 5 points back. We just mentioned, like, every team is playing tomorrow night. Like, they're not all going to lose.
No.
So you could end up being, if you don't win tonight, Boston's won 12 in a row at home, and they're facing the Kings, who did beat Columbus on the road, but the Kings aren't making it. Boston probably wins that game. You're 7 points out. going into the Montreal Canadiens. Like, this is must win tonight again. You just can't leave the points on the table.
And it's the easiest points they can grab if they show up tonight. It's not a very deep Vancouver lineup. You shut down one or two guys, it should be a very easy matchup for the Senators.
Okay, well, we'll let you get to the game. You're going to join us on the chat after, Tanner? Or?
Yeah, I'll be in the chat. A little late, so
I will be there. But it's the last one, right? It's the last late one of the year. You're going to the Montreal game, correct?
No.
Oh, no?
Possibly going to be watching it with my dad, but looking at that forecast, I don't think he's going to be making the drive up from Brockville. So I'll more than likely be available to hop on here and break things down before and after.
Okay. Well, we look forward to that. We'll have you in the chat tonight. Thank you very much. Enjoy the game tonight. And for the Ottawa Senators, really going to be looking at how they come together without Jake Sanderson. Prediction?
I think Sens win probably like 4-1. It should be a very easy game if they're up for it. And if Kevin Lankinen isn't as hot as he was the last time these two teams met.
Right. Yeah, I remember how well he played. I think it's going to be a little bit more high scoring. I just don't trust in James Reimer and no Jake Sanderson. I do think they're going to be okay in this game, but I'm going to give it 5-3 tonight with an empty net goal. Maybe pushes it a little bit closer than people expect. We'll see, though. That's the fun of all the games. Enjoy it. It's on Prime tonight.
I really like their presentation. I know a lot of people talk about it. It's so good. Their camera angles and everything. Like, I wouldn't hate if Prime started getting more games than just the odd Monday night.
Amazon Prime is the best NHL broadcast there is right now. That's what I think of their presentation. Like, it is so good. I'm excited to watch the game on Prime, and not everybody gets Prime. I get that, but man, it is.
It's even the little things. Like, I know we've been on here for the last little bit, but they even play the warm-ups. Like, you can get that full arena atmosphere, and they seem to have a sweet guest between every period. Like, Steve Stais usually comes on, or they had Talk a couple of games ago last year.
Yeah. And they also have analysts that don't talk over your head. It feels very natural. You know, they're really good at what they're doing. Andy Petrillo is one of the best. PK is awesome to listen to. There's lots of great stuff going on.
So I won't have to hear about a certain analyst on Sportsnet last week saying Michael Amadio is a fourth liner and that the Sens have been all offense, no defense this year.
Yeah.
Certain guy that used to play for Vancouver. But anyways.
I didn't think he was that bad. I know people were roasting him. It's John Garrett, right?
No. Kevin Bieksa.
Oh, Bieksa on
yeah.
Okay.
He had a couple brutal lines in the intermission, but I picked him fun.
But that's honestly, that's what happens to teams on a national level when you are not relevant. People don't care, and then they make mistakes. And what I always say to people is, like, everyone thinks, oh, it's a Toronto bias and it's always the Leafs and the Habs. And like, if you want to be relevant nationally, be better.
Yep.
Because then people will be paying attention. They'll be watching your games. They won't make those mistakes. But right now they do because you're not relevant. So be relevant. Force people to care about the team. And if they do that without Jake Sanderson, the way that they've been playing, if they do that, again, imagine Tanner, even 2 months ago, saying the Sens will be 5 points out of a playoff spot on March the 9th. They won't have Jake Sanderson, and James Reimer is going to be their goalie. And you still, I know they're playing Vancouver tonight, but there's not really that big of a worry that they're going to lose tonight. They don't have Sanderson, and James Reimer is their goalie, but the way that they're playing gives you so much confidence that they're going to be okay. 2 months ago, I would have laughed at you.
Yep.
So hopefully they can stay within 3 tonight or get to 3 and then just worry about getting home and facing Montreal on Wednesday. Enjoy the game, Tanner, and we'll hear from you in the chat, I am sure. Thank you.
Sounds good.
For Tanner Ryle, I'm Lee Versage. This is your pregame show on OSN.